Hey guys.
Oh!
Very fitting this time. We got a werewolf movie for you, and one hell of a werewolf movie, I might add.
Probably my most favorite werewolf movie. No offense to the classical Wolfman, but this movie basically took it another step further.
Yeah. American Werewolf, also known as An American Werewolf in London, that's the original title, from 1981, directed by John Landis, is one of the good 80s horror movies. Just one more example why the 80s was so good for the horror genre. American Werewolf, well, it's a bit of a weird movie, but, well, I'll let my colleague explain for now.
Well, it is weird in a sense that what do people in the past know about the werewolf? Okay, the werewolf is a creature evil. It's a curse. It's an evil curse, and it happens when somebody is bit by a wolf, or another werewolf, and you transform into a werewolf every full moon, and you basically go around killing people, and you have no control of your actions. That's the curse.
It's similar to vampires, but only that in this case, of course, a werewolf is not active as much as a vampire is.
Yeah, and of course, the only way you can kill a werewolf is by silver.
Yeah. And of course, I would think that vampires don't lose control over themselves. They just have to feed. The werewolf just goes around on a freaking rampage. Hence, why these two mythical creatures are always compared and pitted against each other, most prominently in the movie Underworld, which was also pretty good.
However, this movie takes the curse of the werewolf much further by adding to the fact that when you are cursed by a werewolf, not only do you suffer the horrific effects of transforming, as this movie will depict, but you also suffer to see the ghosts of your victims. That
is the only thing that I had a problem with, I guess, because I thought it was too weird. Because I didn't know this. I never saw another movie that was like this, so I don't know. But what's good about the movie is that it has scary scenes. I mean, really scary scenes, especially for the 80s. Like, okay, well, let's tell them what is this movie about anyway?
What is this movie about? Okay, you have two guys and they're from, guess what? America! And they're doing like this big European travel, and basically they're in London, then they plan to go to Scotland or Ireland, I don't know.
They're in Britain,
They're in Britain right now, and they're in the outskirts countries of London, and they go into this shack or pub, I guess you could say.
It's a pub, yeah.
It's a pub. And it's full of superstitious folk, and they don't understand what's going on and why they are all superstitious. And then they say something offensive, and the guys kick them out, but they give them a warning. And that warning from henceforth was terrifying enough. How often do you hear somebody tell you, "Stick to the road, lads. Beware the moon."
Oh, yeah.
And say it that seriously. This very beginning, plus with the horrific sound effects, hence my howling.
The werewolf sound, especially like when you hear them in the distance, is very scary. I mean, you always hear the wolf sound in so many movies, used as a background effect, just to scare you. You hear that everywhere. But in this movie, I have to say, so far, this is the scariest sound. Because, damn it, that actually that actually scared me. Unlike in other movies where I just think, oh, that sound effect again. Oh, how cliche. No, here it's like, oh my god.
It's very original. It's an original howling effect.
It's not a stock sound effect as far as I could tell, so it was definitely cool.
So basically what happens is two of these boys is killed, and one of them survives the attack, and he's basically cursed by the werewolf, and he's staying in London, and basically through the deaths of his friend and his victims, he quickly finds out that he's a monster, and he's going to be killing people unless he kills himself. That's basically the story. Yeah. I don't want to give up anything more. Why you say it's weird is because of several things. With this werewolf curse that I think the director was trying to implement, it wasn't just the fact that you see the ghosts of your victims, you also have horrific nightmares before you change. Because basically this transformation, which again, another original, the original transformation from the Wolfman was slowly added on by makeup effects, and that took hours to do.
But there's no other way they could have done it back then.
And this, however, is beautifully done animatronics, makeup.
It's absolutely amazing. It's the most realistic transformation I've ever seen. I mean, I admit I like the transformation in Underworld, but I had one problem with it. In Underworld, it is very sudden and very fast, and it's over with. Here, wow. This is just a crazy-ass scene that goes on forever, but you just can't take your eyes off it because your transformation looks so freaking real.
And so painful.
Yeah, that too.
You're basically hearing bones crunching, muscles stretching, the person is screaming in agony, he's saying he's burning up. It's just horrible to watch, but you can't look away.
But when you think about it, this is the most realistic transformation, not just because it takes so long. Come on, you just don't turn into something completely different with it, like, in a second. It's not how it works, I think. This is a very long transformation, and I think if your body were to change this gradually so fast, yeah, you would scream your soul out of your throat.
Ugh, I can't imagine the pain of it. Another thing I want to trump on this movie is that it went another bit further. Rather than using traditional music scaring effects, where they would have like a theme song to add that, ooh, the creature's coming, the creature's coming. No, you don't know when the attacks are going to happen. It's very sudden. You're like, oh, you're walking around, and hey, did you hear something? No.
Yeah, that's how it happens. There's no music, especially in that first attack scene. That just makes it so much better, because it's dark, it's at night, you're looking at these guys, you hope they'll be alright, and all of a sudden you hear this dreaded howl. Oh my god. Sometimes less is more.
Yeah, so just to give fair warning about this movie, if you decide to watch it, I would, if you want an absolute big effect, watch it at night. Watch it with a friend too, because you're going to be scared if you're one of those people that grew up during my time period of the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
This is a scary movie. It's not a kiddie flick.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. Definitely not.
So what's your rating?
I rate this movie a 7 because, I was never a huge fan of werewolves, but this movie was very good. I recognize that. It's very good. Hey, it's an 80s horror. I always work with that. But for the things I mentioned, that's why the rating is not as high. Had it not had that, like, these kind of silly scenes sometimes, I guess I would have rated it an 8, but I think a 7 is still fair. That still is very much above average. It's a good movie.
I give it a 10 out of 10 because I do love werewolf movies. The transformation was probably one of my favorite scenes, plus some of the attack scenes where you actually finally get to see the full werewolf monster in person. And it's not like, again, another tradition here. I mean, not traditional. You know how the Wolfman always stood up, right?
Yeah.
This one does not. It's on all fours. It's a giant-ass dog.
Yeah.
And it is terrifying to look It's terrifying to look at nonetheless. You pee yourself if you saw it for yourself.
Okay, we got a 7, we got a 10, and IMDb says 7.5, so I think, yeah, good ratings all the way through.
Amen.
So, it's Halloween, guys. Time for a scary movie? Check this out if you haven't.
Adios.
Adios.